Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Just a quick warning before we begin. This story is about psychological and emotional abuse, so if that is something that you are sensitive to, you might want to skip the story. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Sad Mr. Guy. Me, 25 male, with my wife, 30 female, 3 years. How do I get out, stay out, and never find myself in a relationship like this again? I don't really know what I should write or how, but I have to talk to someone about it. It turned into quite a bit of text, and I think I already know that I shouldn't be married any longer, but I would like to know up from down so that I can avoid ever getting into a relationship like this again. I have never really been an outgoing guy, but have been content with being with myself. Always liked reading books, playing music, computer games, and all those other stuff where you can lose yourself to something. This is probably why I only have been in one relationship before the one I am in now, and I really regret ever getting together with the woman to who I am now married. When I look back at it now, I can see that it really started as soon as we had gotten together. I think it was the third day or something like that when she wanted to have a quickie. Apparently, I didn't know how to have a quickie, as when I was going for foreplay, suddenly she tells me to stop, that this wasn't a quickie, that I was taking too long, and now she didn't want it anymore. 2 days after that, after almost having sex again, she told me that I wasn't much of a man. I think I just blamed it on me being inexperienced, and that her behavior was just to be expected, is it? I also told myself that it would get better. Well, of course, it got better. Had sex, did fun things together, and all that. Then, after a few months, there was a problem with a new common person in our life that she really started to hate. I tried explaining to her why I thought he did the things he did, and then she got furious with me, called me names, and ended it all by telling me that I should go and be intimate with him. Not in those words, if I liked him that much. I don't remember what I did after that, but afterward, I didn't dare to talk against her when she started talking about that guy. It is a bit fuzzy what happened after that, but a few weeks before Christmas, I had been feeling really bad about our relationship, and one morning she woke up and was furious that she didn't get to train, as I had promised to wake up early and go with her, but I didn't. Of course, I know that I should have done as I promised, but I just remember the way she said that she didn't train because of me. After this, she went to class and pretty much commanded me what to do while she was gone. Nothing of this sounds really bad when I type it, but at the time, all things put together just made me flee the place, and I ended up back at my place crying. After a while, she called me and I went back to her place. Just 1 or 2 days before Christmas, I had been at my place wrapping Christmas presents, and on my way back to her place, I got the idea that I should buy her some flowers. I did this in a grocery store nearby and was in a hurry, so I didn't really look at what I bought, but just took a Christmas arrangement that they had. Some white flowers, a little green around, and not at all fresh, which I didn't see. I guess I should have taken my time to look at what I was buying, but I didn't. When I gave them to her, she started shouting and screaming at me. They were, first of all, 2 white flowers, and pears and white are what you should give to the dead, and also the flowers weren't fresh. Of course, I can understand that she was upset, but she just continued and continued and continued until I started crying, put on my shoes, and left. There are a lot of other situations like this, but I can't write about all of them, because no one is gonna have the patience to read them all. But then, we'd been together for a little more than a year. I proposed to her, broke up for a few hours a week later, got married when we'd been together for 2 years, and now that is almost a year ago. For all of these 3 years, I have heard so many things about how I do things wrong, how I make her feel miserable, how I am not by her side, that I don't have any ambition, that I don't do anything that is fun, that I don't fight for us, I am not romantic, how lazy I make her, that she started to be unambitious like me, and I guess a lot of it is true. I like to socialize, but not really to go to social gatherings and meet new people. I make stupid things. I don't really have any ambition. No me in 10 years. I am not a romantic kind of guy that comes up with fun and impulsive things, but some of it just makes me furious to think about. It's not that I'm not by her side, it's that she does and says things I don't like, or brings up things I think are private and expects me to agree with her and be supportive. Instead, I get really defensive, which I know is horrible of me, and try to make it sound not as bad as I think she makes it sound. Sometimes I think I managed to be by her side, but then afterward I get to hear how it really was. A week ago, I broke down. We had been away from each other for a week, only chatted over the phone, and I had started to feel really bad. She had been telling me that I, yet again, was not fighting for her and had really never done it. We were friends before we were a couple and didn't ever really date. It all ended with her telling me, as a joke, she told me later, not a joke but not entirely serious, that we were now divorced. And I, who wanted to show what a man I was, said, "Good! Now I can fight for you and win you back." Then I just started crying and crying, scream crying that I didn't even know that you could do. And afterward, I didn't answer the phone, logged out of all ways of communication with her, and only called her 3 days later when she had gotten really scared and called the police, which went and found me. I know that this is one of the most horrible things I have ever done to a person, and I can't imagine what it was like to feel to not be able to get in touch with your spouse, with no word of what is going on. I knew that she was probably scared for me, but still didn't answer for 3 whole days. Now I've started talking to her again, planned to fly and be with her, and everything was going to be alright. But tonight, when I called her on the phone, I got a very tough explanation of how angry she was that I just disappeared like that, how bad and immature it is to do something like that, and that you just can't let things go when you are a grown-up. I understand you have to be strong and have to work for the things you want. Then she told me how a real parent has to physically remove behavior like this from their kids. And this is why I probably behave the way I do. That emotional pain is just not something to listen to. That if my upbringing had been better like hers, I would probably be a better person. So after that, I think I told her I couldn't talk anymore, couldn't take it, and hung up. When she called a little while after, I answered, as I don't want to just disappear again, and actually managed to tell her kind of the story I wrote here now. She laughed about the part with the flowers because they were really dead, don't you remember? I don't remember what I said later, but I hung up. I also logged out of everything again and turned off the phone. Tried to find someone to call, like a psychologist, but I guess they work normal hours. So I thought I could actually write it down, and I have to say that it feels good to just have done that. Is there anyone who has had a similar story? How do I actually manage to not get back together with her and instead get a divorce? I really don't think I can live like this, but why haven't I just left her already? I just feel effing stupid. How do I know if I make stupid things in relationships? There are probably a lot of things she's told me that are true and that I ought to stop doing, but I have no idea how to know what is what. I never really ask people what their relationships are like, but only see them from the outside. How is it actually? You can't be nice with each other all the time. What do you do when you disagree? If you really hurt each other, what do you do? Can you hurt someone without wanting to? Wow, OP, your wife really broke you. She is definitely emotionally and psychologically abusing you. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she would start physically abusing you, considering she says that a parent has to physically remove behavior like something from their kids. Like, what does this mean if you ever have kids? Is she gonna hit them or something? And regarding all your questions, OP, just know that your relationship is nothing like a healthy, proper relationship. Of course you can disagree with your partner, but shouting, screaming, belittling, and all the things that she's done to you is not what you do in a healthy relationship. At least, OP, you've taken the first step. You know that you don't want to be in this relationship anymore and that you want to speak to a therapist. Additionally, in your situation, I would include a divorce attorney in that as well. In the meantime, keep your contact with your wife as minimum as possible, that she knows you are alive and well, but that she doesn't get to talk to you very much. And once you get an attorney, all communication should be done through the attorney. At least, that's what I would do if I was in your shoes. What about you guys? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Penis and Breasts says, "Hi, I have been in your situation, almost exactly in your situation, but I stayed for 10 years. It will never change, never. You will never be able to resolve anything. You won't part amicably. If you can afford it, get legal advice, then file for divorce and go no contact. It is crucial that you go no contact. She will use every trick in the book to manipulate you. The only defense you have is to distance yourself. If you can't afford a lawyer, only communicate by email. Create a new account for the purpose. Block her from your normal one and block her from everything else. Only reply once you have had time to think. It was helpful for me to read about narcissism and narcissistic victim disorder. And Opie responds, I'm sorry to hear that you had it bad for 10 years. I really hope that your life now is much, much better. The thing about the tricks in the book is that it really feels like she loves me. And how do I know that she doesn't? Or she does, but still says and does all these things. And I'm afraid that I will stop believing people that honestly say things to me just because it was one of the things she said. I've also read about things on the internet since last week. I googled things like how to know when the wife is hurting me, but all I can think is that I don't know if she does things to me or not. Can't some tough love be good? If I read things, won't I just remember the things that fit in and forget the other stuff? Derptron 5K says, in reply to your title, the mechanics only take a day or two. Gather some essential things and move out. Make no contact. Then find a lawyer and file for divorce. It's that simple, and it's the only way to start the process. Of course it'll be difficult emotionally. If you have other people you're close to, turn to them. Either way, you'll want to get a therapist. Your thinking has been warped and somewhat controlled for years. A strong, objective, helpful voice will be priceless. Thanks for reaching out and giving hope to others in abusive relationships. Your new life can begin now. I wish you the very, very best. And Opie responds, I will do just that, but a bit modified to our situation. This thing about not making contact, is that a good thing to do? I don't really know. I really don't want to be around her or talk to her, so how do I manage when you split your things and other things like that? And thank you for replying to me. I can't say how much it means to me. Deleted says, hi OP, this is an awful toxic relationship. I only have your side of the story so I won't say anything bad about her, but you really need to focus on yourself. The best part about living in a liberal society is that you get to choose who your partner is. If you don't like something about them, you're more than welcome to bring it up or even leave. It sounds like you are being manipulated and are getting to an age where you are questioning that. As you should. You haven't left yet because your confidence is very low. Understandable. Healthy relationships aren't like this. You are young enough to get out of this and move on in time. Her, not so much, so you have to be strong. This is an awful relationship and you can do better. There are so many books and cool games out there to try to keep you distracted too. And Opie responds, the whole time I was writing all that text, I thought that it really sucks that the story is one-sided and that I probably misinterpret some parts or just remember it wrong. But the feelings I have inside of me now is what all this has left me with. And no matter if I am the crazy one, it still would be the best that I left her. How is this a healthy relationship? Is there any book, movie, blog, or anything else that just talks about it? I guess I could read more on this subreddit. Seems to be about relationships, so smiley face. I will keep distracted for a while, but I think I shall focus on some other parts of life also. Get in touch with people that I fell out of touch with and just talk a lot. Okay, well, the community gave OP some pretty solid advice, and we can see how broken down and insecure OP is. He's questioning everything still. But the good thing is that OP knows where he needs to get to. So now, let's move on with the first of 2 updates to this story. It has now been over 3 weeks since I decided to divorce my wife. I have solved all or most of the practical matters. I've talked to a lawyer that will handle the legal part, moved all my stuff, and almost found a therapist to talk to. I have not spoken to my soon-to-be ex-wife, only sent her 2 emails, one about how I want to get a divorce and one about how to solve some practical matters. I can understand that this isn't enough for her, and she's tried to call a bunch of times, sends texts, messages me on Facebook, and sends emails. All because she wants to talk to me, and I guess to get back together. Now, she wants to meet me face to face, and I am terrified of meeting her again. The situation is as follows. I'm from country A in Europe, and she's from country B. We both studied at the same university in country A and have an apartment there. I got a job in country C, where the company fixed an apartment for the first few months, and I and my soon-to-be ex lived there. 5 weeks ago, she went back to country B for medical reasons, because it was easier for her to get a doctor there. So when I decided that I couldn't live like this anymore and wanted a divorce, I was in country C and she was in country B. I then went back to country A to get the divorce and move out my stuff from our apartment there. Now she's back in country C, and I've been told by my colleagues that she's going to stay there until I get back so she can meet me. My flight there is in a few days. I can't really sleep, and I even had a nightmare about her last night. I was in some house, knew that she was searching for me, and I just tried to hide and was scared as hell until I woke up. What do I do? If it was up to me, I would never ever meet her again. I don't want to have her affect how I behave and hide from her, but I have no idea what will happen if I meet her, and that scares the crap out of me. Is it possible to just cut someone out like this? If I have to meet her, how do I handle it? Additional information from OP's comments. I will do everything I can to not see her, but won't be afraid or change my plans because of her. I also have found the best lawyer ever, and he's doing everything he can to help me not meet my ex-wife. He said that probably all the legal stuff can be handled without meeting her. One thing that has been really helpful with dealing with this "is she right" feeling is that my family has been around her quite a lot and really understands why I don't want to be around her anymore. For example, my brother just said, "It's not you that's crazy," and I actually believe him. Smiley face. Alright, so OP got the ball rolling, and from his additional information, he's definitely gonna stand up and not want to meet her, and he's got the help of his lawyer. So now, let's move on to the final update to see how this story ends. I read all of your advice in the previous post, and thank you for your answers. Last weekend I met some friends and family, packed my stuff, and went back to country C. First, my ex's bank card had just expired, and of course, the new one was in country A, and of course, she couldn't leave country C before she got it, even with a full tank of gas and a lot of cash. I brought it with me anyways. It was hers, and if it meant she would leave, I was happy to bring it. I told her that someone would bring it to her and hoped that this would mean that I wouldn't have to see her. Well, that was wrong. When I arrived at the airport in the town I'm working in, she was standing there, a huge smile on her face, all dressed up, welcoming me back. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I immediately handed her her card and said something about how I didn't want to speak to her or anything at all. She continued by hugging me, talking a lot about how we should get together, talk about it, and solve it together. You get the picture. I was quite panicky at this moment as I was waiting for my luggage and didn't want to just leave it there. I tried to walk outside, but she followed me there. Tried to tell her to stop following me, but she wouldn't. It all ended up with me going to the employees of the company I was flying with and asking if I could hide with them. Sounds quite silly when you just write about it like this, but I was terrified. The employees were really nice and helpful though. They got my luggage for me and told me where I could find a taxi. After getting into the taxi, my lovely ex-wife stopped the taxi, talked in through the window and asked something like, "Are you 100% sure that you want to end our marriage over a misunderstanding?" I still don't know what she meant, but I told her yes, and then told the taxi driver to drive away. I ended up sleeping over at a friend's place that night as I didn't want to be alone in a new apartment. The next day, Tuesday, went okay. I went to work and started getting back into it. Through some coworkers, my ex told me that she needed some pictures on my computer, and sure, I could give them to her. Found some USB sticks and moved the things she wanted to them. I also had some papers that she was gonna get. I didn't give them to her, but an employee at my company was going to meet up with her the next day and solve some other stuff. My ex was still living in the company apartment, and as my employers are way too nice, she could stay there the whole week. Everything was quite nice until Wednesday afternoon when I had just gotten home from work. My ex started knocking on my door, wanting to meet, talk, and also I hadn't given her all the files that she wanted. Now, for most of us, the last thing could be solved by sending stuff over the internet, but apparently not with her. When I heard her outside, all I did was quietly sit down on my chair and sat there until she left. Then I covered all the windows and just hid. I think I watched a movie. But here's where it gets insane. She calls the police that arrive at my apartment and ask if everything's alright. They also say that my ex wants the keys to our apartment in country A, and I tell them that I don't have them here, but a friend in country A has them, which she knows. She also wanted some other things that I don't have. I invited the police in, and they were quite concerned with what my hideout apartment looked like, and I agreed with them. They asked questions about how I was feeling and if I wanted to go see a doctor right now, but I told them that I was going to see one the next day and that I get a lot of support from the company. I think this was when one of the officers went over to my ex and asked her to write down what it was that I have that is hers. After he got back, the paper basically said some stuff on my computer, stuff I don't have, and that she wants me or the company to pay for her trip back to country A. The policeman told me to give the files to her and that she can't demand more things from me after this. They also tell me that they are going to tell her to leave me alone, not go around my apartment, try to contact me, or do anything not related to the divorce. If anything happens, I should just call the cops and they will take care of it. So she called the police and I got help from them. So nice. But I don't think that is what she expected. After they left, I removed all the covers from my windows and cleaned up the place. The next day, I met a doctor that listened to my story and gave me a referral to a psychologist or counselor. I haven't gotten one yet, but it is on the way. I also put more files on USB sticks, stuff that I thought she already had, and sent them to her. It has been quiet these 2 nights, so we'll see how everything turns out. I don't know what will happen, but everyone around me is helpful, so I believe things are turning for the better. And apparently they did, because that was the last post of OP, so there must have been nothing else that happened. OP, thank you so much for sharing, and hopefully you are in a much better point in your life now that you're divorced. Take care and all the best in the future. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.